I grew up in Seattle, Washington, both in the city and on an island near the city called Bainbridge Island. I'm the third of four children. I grew up spending a lot of my hours on the beach on Puget Sound, literally in little boats fishing, salmon fishing by the hundreds of hours, water skiing. I went to high school in the Seattle Public School System, to college at Whitworth College in Spokane, where I was a pre-med chemistry major who took one psychology class in my first 3 years of college. I worked 3 years in a county hospital in Seattle. I took the medical college admissions test. I have completed my applications to medical school and never mailed them in. I decided I wanted to do something different. And then I decided maybe I'd be a college professor, but I needed something to profess. And then I thought back to that one psychology class I had 3 years previous and how much I'd enjoyed it. And so almost on a lark, I decided to go into psychology. And so I took several more courses my senior year, and with my science background was able to get into graduate school. I'm not a natural-born writer. I recall that in college, writing was my lowest grade in my college experience. And it's because I didn't see myself as a good writer that when I had these invitations to begin writing, that I did several things. I started reading what I thought was great science writing and great nonfiction writing by people like Carl Sagan, C.S. Lewis, and others. I also read a number of writing manuals, such as Elements of Style, Simple and Direct, and such, to learn some of the principles of good writing. The third thing I did, and I think the most important, was I became mentored by an award-winning colleague who is a poet, essayist, and teacher, who has been Michigan's Professor of the Year and who has been my writing coach and mentor for some years. I've now graduated, but he's been through some 5,000 manuscript pages of my writing, teaching me how to order words for emphasis, how to create rhythm. I think you write when you have a passion to say something. What compels me to write is reading, and I read something that strikes me as, wow, so interesting, or so poorly understood by people at large that they'd love to know about this, and I think I have something to say. The biggest part of making a textbook for me is gathering the information, which begins first with reading the literature of psychology. I subscribe to several dozen periodicals. Here on my current reading stack is the European Psychologist and the British Journal of Social Psychology, the Journal of Cross-Cultural Psychology, and so forth. So going through all that information, picking it out, filing information, and having that available is the first step. I also gather information by going through the table of contents page of every English language psychology and psychiatry periodical and initialing articles that I want, and then an assistant sends for those articles, so I get lots of mail as well. All this information then gets filed in various cubby holes here. This is just the materials, for example, I've accumulated for the next edition of the consciousness chapter of my text. My editors give me input both from their own advice and from many reviewers who are college professors who sometimes are expert on the subject matter and sometimes are just sensitive, skilled teachers who are letting me know what their students are thinking. So this is all given to me, organized with all the comments that are made by the different reviewers on a particular page available to me. That then goes to the publisher, who then creates page proofs that come back to us and that we look at, and from which we eventually help create the name index, the bibliography, and all that goes into the finished product. Now, there are other stages that I can't show you because I don't see, but as you can see, there's multiple layers over about a year of time, or a year and a half of time, from the beginning of intensive work on a new edition to the book that you can hold in your hands.